Good morning. Welcome to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. We got a jam-packed show for you. I'm Harvey Freed. He's Sherri Gramlich.
Good morning, everybody. What a great week we had. A little bit cold. I think this could be Harvey. No prediction, no weather predictions, but maybe we're rolling into spring here.
I'll take it.
Maybe it's nice outside, sunshine at 23 degrees. It's phenomenal.
Correlates into home buying season here as we're kicking off the spring. Becky Alley, back from traveling around the United States.
Yes.
Yeah, you are back here.
Listen, if January was 20 days, I feel like February was 2. And here we are on the second weekend of March already, but I am definitely happy to be here. I've missed everyone in the studio.
Sherri Gramlich joins us from eXp Realty. Sherri, you've been on the show plenty of times, specializing in, of course, because you're a veteran yourself, always working to help our veterans and the most important folks that have given back to the country. So welcome back to the show.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Cool. And we're going to talk about first-time home buyers. We're going to talk about veterans, Sherri. We're going to talk about home inspections. How about starting off with, as we were talking before the show started, is that confidence that a first-time home buyer, or even someone who hasn't bought in the marketplace, because most of us only buy 2 or 3 homes in a lifetime, how about that confidence that's so important to get the family to sign on the dotted line?
Oh my gosh. It is so huge to give them knowledge so that they have that confidence. It takes several homes to take a look at them and everything, know what you're getting for your money. But when you see that one, don't hold back, go for it. Trust your agent and the knowledge that they give you. We're out there doing it every day. We know what the market's like. We know when you have to jump and when you don't. Trust them.
And Sherri, at the top of the show, you talked about there are people out there. Why are they waiting? Right? We say that all the time. If you roll this tape back, Becky said, what are we waiting for? Harvey, Harry, John, Lisa, everybody. What are you waiting for? If it's right for you, buy it. Don't wait because somebody else is on deck waiting to buy. There's no reason right now to wait. All right, rates have settled in nicely around the 7% range. Maybe you can get a little under, but most of the time it's right in that range. It doesn't really matter because they're not 7.5, they're not 8, they're not 9, but they're not going down to 4. So what are you waiting for? And we've seen that, and you talked about it. So go ahead and expand upon that. Why are they waiting?
That's a good question. Because if we could be in their head, wouldn't it be wonderful?
No, no. No, it wouldn't be.
That's true. But, wow, I don't know. I wish I had the answer to why they're waiting. Because you get that beautiful house that Grandma owned, and there's hardwood floors, and there's, decent windows, and you can tell it's well kept. Got a little wallpaper to take off, and you got to paint it, right? No sign of water. You better jump. You better go.
No sign of water is huge.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
So Becky, the conversations that I'm having is, the truth is this. The rates, like you're mentioning, they have settled down. They're the lowest they've been since December, right? Which is increasing that affordability that the buyers have been looking for. But the truth is, if you look at the data, the purchase applications are down week over week, 3%. Refinance applications actually are up because the media is really pressing this whole interest rates have dropped dramatically. And the truth is they've settled, but they really haven't changed dramatically. So we're looking at the same interest rates always on our rate sheet. It's just a matter of what is behind that rate. How much does that rate cost you at the time? And some of the buyer hesitancy that I'm getting into is they are now in this moment again where they're like, I'm going to wait till the rates drop again. And we can't do that because, again, the point of the matter is we are locking in the price of the home. Because if the interest rates drop anymore, you're going to also open up the floodgates even more so to these buyers. And we still have less than a 2-month supply on the market.
And that's what's going on.
It is still a seller's market on paper. So as soon as these rates drop, you're going to have even more buyers, and it's going to be more competition, which is what has been nationally, not even just in our backyard here in Michigan. Nationally, you're looking at, lack of inventory. But in Michigan specifically, we have a huge lack of inventory. So buyers out there, if you're hesitating for this moment for these rates to drop even more, you're doing yourself a disservice because right now you have this moment before the hot spring market and summer market. These interest rates are low enough where it has added to the affordability.
And it's not a long moment.
No.
Because, just on my end, I'm sure it's this way on your end too. It's starting to heat up. If you look at the listings coming on, there's a few more listings. Okay. It's heating up. I've got all my buyers, my listings that I've been talking to in the last 3 months or so. They're all starting to hit. Like I'm going to be hitting at least one a week.
Multiple offers are still happening even in the dead of winter in Michigan. We've become a 365 state.
So what's happening, Beck, are people, if you're going to go ahead and wait, you're going to be 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th in line. Because the people that aren't waiting, that have been out there all winter long, that have been putting in offers, getting them rejected, they've been losing out to the people that obviously beat them out. They're now back in line and they're looking. They didn't take time out to wait. So now you want to get in the game right now, you better get in because you're still behind the 8 ball, the people that are already in and that had offers rejected.
Yeah.
So you need to get in right now because what's happening in the next couple of weeks, the weather's going to continuously get better, and you're going to be waiting in line behind the people that have been in the game. Unless, of course, what? You're going to overpay for the house. You're going to overbid.
Well,
right?
there's going to be those moments where you overpay, but this statement is specifically for the first-time buyers because the return buyers, like the ones that are selling and they've been in the market before, they are the ones that are not hesitating. If they like that first house, they are going to pull the trigger and they are ready, willing, and able. So the first-time buyers, you're going to get left behind if you're afraid to pull that trigger. So it's really not why you should buy now. It's really talking about how to buy now if you're a first-time buyer.
True.
How can you buy right now? What incentives do we have out here for you that are going to help ease that moment where you're hesitating? Can you do one of the down payment assistance through the state of Michigan? Do you need down payment assistance? Do you not? I have a first-time buyer. He's a very savvy buyer, and we had those deep dive conversations, and we're going to put him in the MISHDA program, but without the down payment assistance. So now he's locking in a preferred interest rate that you cannot touch anywhere else, and he doesn't need the down payment assistance through the state of Michigan. There's a million different ways that we can get you to the finish line, but that comes with high-level conversations, not this 5-second, I clicked a bunch of buttons and I didn't really talk to anybody. You really have to sit down or have a conversation or text or whatever it is. We'll meet you where you want to go. I know my girl right here, Sherri, she's old school, new school. She's all the school. She will sit down and have a cross-leg conversation with you face to face, but she also will text you and email you and however you want to be communicated with.
Absolutely. That's important. It's huge. And I feel so much better when I sit down with a client, belly to belly over coffee or breakfast or lunch, whatever it takes to sit down and explain the process so that they get a good feel for it. It's important for them to have that confidence in you. And it's important for them to know back to rate, right? That, okay, you get the house, and when the rates drop in 6 months to a year, then you refinance. Mm-hmm. Keep an eye on the rate. If it drops a point, then you refinance. But get the house first.
If you go to somebody that is really wrapped in the business, when rates come down, they're going to call you. Okay, you don't have to call them. Mm-hmm. They're going to call you. Done it forever and ever, 35 years. We're going to call you when rates go down. It's simple. It's selfish reasons. We make money when we do loans. They've got to be good loans. We've got to be saving you money. There's a net tangible benefit to doing it, right? Mm-hmm. And we have to do that. We have to prove that. So we're going to call you when rates go down. You don't have to worry about that. But you cannot wait to get in a house right now. You just cannot wait. Again, you got to be able to afford it, but there's so many people in line right in front of you. You got to throw your hat in the ring.
It's all about the affordability. And the thing is, not only are we going to call you because we're monitoring, because we're not a stranger. So if you've done business with us, we're going to make sure we're putting you in the best position possible. And again, when you're doing a refinance, you do have to prove that there is benefit to the buyer. You can't just be like, I'm going to refinance you because I want to. It doesn't work like that. It's got to make sense for you. Even if a buyer really, or a person that's already owned a home, they really want to refinance. It doesn't matter what they want to do. They want to refinance. If it doesn't make sense, we have to tell them no. Because that is our conscience. We have to put our head on our pillow, and they could go somewhere else and someone's going to tell them what they want to hear, but it's not going to be, we're going to tell them what they need to hear. It's all about setting them up for success now and in the future. So when you're doing the actual original purchase of your home, we're looking at that. Where are you at right now? What are we anticipating the rates could go to? Now, granted, if I could predict that, I would be doing something else, but at the same time.
You'd only need to predict it one time.
Yes,
and
one
then
time.
You'd be out.
Yes, you predict it one time. However, patterns repeat themselves, and you can I've been in the business long enough, 20 plus years. All the gentlemen in here have been in here over like longer than I have. You've been in the business a long time. There's already been a pattern. There's one thing about real estate. The only thing that stays the same is change, but it also, you can see things that change and they also stay the same. So we are going to see rates pull back a little bit, but it's not going to be anything dramatic. And you can't wait for that moment, because if you're waiting for that moment, so is everybody else, and you're going to be standing in line with everybody else. And we're looking at a 2020 situation where you're standing in line next to somebody else. You don't know what they're standing in line for. You just want to win.
And also, these are great signs for home buyers out there. First time home buyers, second time around. There's a silver lining out there for sure. More supply. We're definitely seeing a little bit more supply, a little bit lower rates, obviously, than the last couple of years. That's always good news. Purchase power. So you got still a little bit of purchase power out here. Talk about the inventory. It's definitely picking up. Used to be only 2 months. Now you're getting to 4 and 5 months. So definitely some silver linings out there. Rates are probably going to stay. I wrote a little bit here about it, probably in that marginal range of 6.5% to 7%. Your credit's important. So again, get with the real professionals. The conversations with us are really different than most lenders. We start talking about the things that will help you save money. Like, what can you do now? Maybe improve your credit score. And sometimes it's a 30 or 60-day fix, and you're thinking about your lease is going to be up July or August anyways. So we want to get a hold of you. And again, let me throw out the number, 248-539-9797. This is a live show. Call in if you know family members, friends, you're thinking about becoming a homeowner this year. Definitely give us a call. A lot of exciting stuff, as Becky mentioned, all the DPAs out there, down payment assistance programs.
Yeah, I mean, even Misha just recently announced the first generational buyer, you get 25,000. But again, this isn't something for everybody. You have to have the conversations. I've taken so many calls from this. As soon as they announced it, I'm one of the top in the state for the Michigan, MIJDA program. And it's a blessing that my referral partners know that I know this program in and out. And I have a good relationship with the people at the state that even if there's something a little nuanced, I can be able to reach out to them and be like, hey, does this person meet that guideline? Because there's always that little interpretation shade of gray that they are willing to make concessions on. And we're always willing to go above and beyond for our buyers. So the first generational, if you're the first person in your family, meaning that your parents have owned a home in the last 3 years as well, or your step parents or your next of kin, they're going to do their research. This program also makes you do the course in person. So there's a lot of different things. You have to be with a high qualified loan officer that knows these programs in and out, so we can guide you and get set up for success immediately. So that way in 3 months, when you're ready to buy the house, you're set.
All right, you got to tune to the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show, brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. Give us a call live in the studio, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. Alrighty. Love that stuff. Welcome back here. It's 8:16. It's a Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show. Again, we'd like to give you great information about purchasing a home if you're looking to do cash out refinances. A lot of those phone calls have been coming in lately. Yep. Release that equity in your house. And one of the things about mortgages, Becky, we're going to get into that, is the cash out refinance definitely puts people back on their feet. But typically, those loans have a little bit higher interest rate. It's an 80% cash out on a conventional, most likely. But if they get consolidated and the rates drop next year or after you've made 6 payments, you can come back and always lower that interest rate. But how important it is right now to take advantage of it. Get yourself back on your feet. Don't wait. Start saving the money and get consolidated now. So when the rates drop, you can lower that interest rate again.
Yeah, I mean, we're always taking conversation or calls, I should say, and having conversations about refinancing and cash out refinancing. We don't ever stop refinancing people, even when the rates were less than desirable. Air quotes, everybody on Facebook,
right.
Or not on Facebook, but it's all about situational. What is your situation? What are you trying to do? Where are you trying to go? How are we going to get there? That's always the constant conversation. Is we're the backseat driver that's going to talk a lot, but you are the driver, and it's ultimately your decision. Now, whether that's going to be a home equity line that we're going to utilize, whether that's a cash out refinance we're going to utilize, the reality is affordability has been difficult for everyone in the nation, and people overbought in 2020 and all those things. We talk about that often, but so that's the dirty conversation behind the scenes, is that everyone was overextending on their credit cards and bragging about their 3% interest rate, right? We talk about that often. You hear about that 3% interest rate, but you don't hear them bragging about the $40,000, $50,000 over asking they went, and then also they're now racking up their credit cards, these taxes reassessed. So everyone's situation, you have to do a deep dive. We are private about it. We're professional about it. We're not judgmental about it. We're just here to get you where you got to go. So whether you want to do a cash out refinance and fix up the home, like my lake house buddies, are longtime clients of mine. They're fixing up their lake house with their family. It's a beautiful thing. That's their need. Or if you're trying to now reset that baseline and using that equity in your home to kind of even that keel, reset that escrow, get you going in the right direction and resetting that all that negative debt, right? There's good debt, bad debt. There's not really ever good debt, but it's how you're utilizing it. Right? It's fixing that situation.
Hey, Beck, we call, there's necessary debt.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
There's necessary debt and there's bad debt. Necessary debt, your mortgage.
Your cars.
Certainly the things that you need to do every day, drive to work, you need a car loan. But nothing makes me happier than sitting down with somebody and showing them the money we could save them. They might have a 4 or 5% interest rate on their mortgage.
Right.
But the cash flow that's going out the window every single month at 22 to 25% on their credit cards is negating the low rate that they have on their mortgage. So if you want to combine it and go ahead and pay off the credit cards, and you're going to take a little higher rate than you currently have, but certainly not high in the market, to take cash out and pay off your credit cards, and you're going to throw out all your credit cards except for one, right? You're going to throw them out, and you're not going to run it up again. You're going to save $300, $400, $500, $700, $800 a month.
Definitely changing your spending habits, Eric, for sure.
Only about saving the monthly cash flow. So if you sit down and analyze it and do the numbers, there's a big smile that's going to come on your face when you know you could save that kind of money. And that's tremendous. It's a tremendous amount of money a month.
Yeah, and there's even times where, so we also offer home equity lines of credit for certain situations. So, if you have a lake house and, this gentleman, like I said, longtime client, they have a they got a rate in the 2s, right? So, and I did that mortgage for them. So they have a fantastic interest rate. So when we had our conversation, it did not make sense to pull money out of their second home. It made sense for us to do the equity line. And so now we're doing the equity line for them, and they're going to completely renovate their lake house for their family because that's legacy. They have that. They bought that property for legacy, for their family, for it to be passed down generation to generation. So we're doing things the right way. But this was a conversation that's been going on for 6-7 months with this family specifically. We are not here to do the shotgun wedding. We're going to run down and hurry up and make you make a decision before you're ready. These are slow, deep dive conversations. I also, involved with the contracting. What's happening here? Are we going to do a renovation loan? We looked at all scenarios multiple times, and we arrived at the best decision for this particular family. So if you want a high level conversation, you call us at Capital Mortgage Funding, because we're not here to pressure you. This is this is your choice and how we're going to get there and how we're going to help your family now and in the future, because we're definitely not looking at our nose. We are always looking down the road for you, for sure.
Sherri, don't worry. I got a new VA buyer. No, he was looking a couple years ago, and now he's sort of back into it. And he was close to getting an offer accepted at one time, and things changed in his life, and he had some situations going on. But yep, he's back. He's
Awesome.
stoked. He's excited about it. And again, we're always happy to help. Whether you're a veteran and you want to use your VA eligibility, definitely give us a call at Capital Mortgage Funding, 1-800-LOW-RATE. Want to also tell everyone out there, we are powered by CMG Home Loans, NMLS 1820, Equal Housing Lender. But just to reach us here live in the studio, 248-539-9797. Home ownership's really exciting. Again, I've had the opportunity to work with a lot of young people to start the year off. And I got to send a gift certificate out to one of the houses. Don't worry if you guys are listening. I'll get you that Home Depot card right away. But yeah, they reached back out to us. They bought a house that was updated, renovated. It was a flip. And really, they've got solid bones in it now, brand new electrical panel. But you're always going to be spending money. And the cost of
Absolutely.
everything, Sherri, no doubt about that. You walk into a house and these young couples, you're there to point it out to them. Now, that's a great thing about a qualified real estate agent. You're walking in and you're, like you said, with the family that you were showing the grandma's house to.
Yes.
You immediately were able to recognize the windows. You know, I haven't heard that from a lot of agents recently. Like, I'm talking about the quality of the house here. You know, you're haggling over the price. Windows could cost you $15,000 to $25,000 easily.
Yes.
So, how important it is to work with a great agent like yourself?
On both sides, whether it's a lender, whether it's a realtor, it's so important. It's one of my favorite comments, like sayings. It matters who you work with. You get with an experienced realtor, they're going to be able to notice signs of water. They're going to notice, hey, this roof looks kind of sketchy, or the windows. Look at, the condensation on the windows.
Right.
That's a really big thing. We typically know even how much things are going to cost, So we can, this doesn't have the circuit breakers. It's got fuses, but that's only like a $2,000 upgrade, you guys.
Maybe even less. I know electricians have gone up in price. I don't want to undercut them.
Because I noticed that even when you're saying these things, they're like, no, it couldn't possibly be only $2,000. It freaks them out a little bit. But the truth is that that's the truth. And when you're working with someone like Sherri, she is rattling off. She's not shooting from the hip. But I'm going to take it a step further. Sherri and we are involved in deep dive, higher level education, even within the community, within the real estate partner. So we even host Con Ed education with myself, a title company, inspector, and we are constantly talking about the nuances in our business for not only ourselves, so we can take our clients to the higher level, but we're also helping newer agents, even seasoned agents, because we are pounding the pavement all the time. Because if you're not working with someone that's always working at their craft, then you need to step away from them. And when you're hearing someone like Sherri speak to you, you hear the difference, you see the difference, you're going to feel the difference. And when she is educating you on these home inspections, you're not taking her word. Pull in that home inspector.
Well, you can
and they're
tell
gonna
right
back it
away,
up.
can't you? You
Yeah.
can tell somebody has experience right away. There's no teacher like experience. So you
No,
can tell
absolutely.
right away when you're working with a professional in any industry, in any walk of life. The difference is the conversations, the questions, the listening that they have for the situation, and the awareness that they have, if they're self-aware of what's going on, and then they assess the situation, and they can rattle it off because they've seen it 10, 20, 40, 50 times before.
Yeah.
And it's just, when I say that, there's a real difference. It's like if you go to a concert. I'm going to give you an example here. If you go to a concert, there's a reason why the opening act's the opening act. And then when the headliner comes on, you can tell the difference. Now, how does a 16-year-old Taylor Swift opening up for Faith and whoever?
You're going to
Faith
drop
Hill,
some artists on us here.
Yeah.
Keep going.
And then all of a sudden she becomes experienced, and now she's the headline act, the biggest headline act in the world. She had that experience. So you see it. You got to see it, and you see it, and then you understand it. And then through experience, you're able to go ahead and tell when you're dealing with professionals. It's just that easy. That's why the JV games played at 5:30 and the varsity starts at 7. Okay, that's the way it works.
Okay. Hey, Harry, who's your first concert, by the way? You got me thinking
You
here.
don't want to know. It's a
Mott
long
the
time
Hoople?
ago.
Who was it, Harry?
No, it's a long time ago, Harry. It was in the early 70s, but it's okay.
Who
Don't
was
worry
it?
about
Who
it.
was it? Like, come on.
You don't even want to know. If I told you Seals and Crofts, would you
It's
even know who
okay.
that is?
I can sing a little of their songs. I
There
can
you
sing
go.
a couple of
Yeah,
those.
it was a great date. It was a great date. I will tell you that.
Good for you. All right.
She bought the tickets. All right, it was good.
Seals and
I bought
Crofts,
the
a
dinner. I
real
bought
act in the
dinner.
70s.
Yeah, I
That's
bought the
good.
dinner.
We have open lines all morning. Want to hear from you. Sherri Gramlich joins us from eXp Realty. I love when Sherri comes in. She's got that old warm, fuzzy feeling going on, and she reaches out to all the veterans. That's really her bread and butter. Sherri, hey, a little bit of struggle out there as homes listed on the market. The typical residential property was selling, man, it was like 25 to 32 days. It was an all-time high. Now this kicked back a little nationally to about 57 days on the market. So again, depending, it's regional, definitely, because some of the areas, Sherri, you put that listing up, it's gone. The house is gone in a few days. So
Absolutely.
just comment on that. It said 57. I don't know if the article I was reading had to do with more so nationally versus locally, regionally.
Oh, I definitely think it's a national thing. And the houses that are going fast are the ones that are in the great condition. The ones that are staying on the market are the ones that are really rough around the edges. And so that skews the numbers just a little bit. Also, area depends on it, right? In our area, if they're in great condition, they're going.
If the house has been on the market for over 35 days, we are starting to see some negotiability.
Yeah.
Again, I'm making up my own words lately here, but definitely
like that.
negotiating happens when the houses are on the market more. And I had an agent call me this week showing a home that was been on the market for over 180 days. So this is a long time. And it was a rougher house, but they're going to put the offer in just to see how motivated the seller is. And maybe there's a transaction there.
Yeah, I mean, and I do want you to speak on that. So, like, even the ones that are on the market, let's just say for, godforsaken, 40 days, we're going to clinch our pearls over that. Are they really in that bad of shape, or just need a little bit of cosmetic things? I know it's situational and where the market's at, but I know someone like you, you're not afraid to get in there and ask for some concessions to offset some of the things that might be less desirable about the home.
Well, absolutely. It's situational, of course. And, sometimes we talked about grandma's house, right? It needs a little bit of removing wallpaper. You can't really allow a lot for that, right? If you got a house in good bones, it's got really good bones about it. It's in great condition. If most of the work is cosmetic, take $5,000 off. Don't go over.
Yeah, see, but that is experience talking, because grandma's house that might need some updating, it's worth it. That $5,000 that you're going to save up front is going to be all you need to slap some paint on the wall, maybe get rid of some carpet.
All right, some cool things happening to contributing to a better market for buyers. A lot of you buyers out there had some fatigue. That's okay. We'll get you over the hump. 248-539-9797. All your calls when we come back. Already 8:32. If you're just joining us, another pretty day here in Southeast Michigan. I'm telling you, Sherri, forget about that time stuff later tonight. It's spring is around the corner. That's for sure.
It is. That sun's coming in the window.
Little reminders we always do here because this time of year, of course, we do move the spring forward. The clocks get pulled up at 2 in the morning. I guess you can pull it to 3. If you go to bed at 11, I guess you can pull it up till 12. But more importantly, this time of year definitely is getting exciting as the weather's starting to turn.
Yeah, I want Becky to expand upon a couple things. First of all, she downplays a little bit about the Michigan State Housing Development Authority programs that are out there. Becky's the top 1 or in the top percentile of all of those loan officers that do those kind of loans. And we have to bring this out, and I have to bring this up. The relationship that Becky and that we have with the state of Michigan, you have to understand the state of Michigan wants to put people in homes. So if you have that out there and they want to put people in homes and you have somebody that has a great relationship with the underwriters, the state, the reps, everybody in that program in your back pocket, you should utilize it. Now, Becky, tell people out there who don't really, I know we talk about it a lot on the show, but I want you to explain to people the dollar amounts that are of people to have so they can have down payment assistance by the state.
Okay, so, and you don't have to be a first-time home buyer either. So that's why you have to call us, because it depends on, there's targeted areas, there's certain cities, and you can also stack some of these down payment assistance programs in these bonds. So I'm in the process of working on one for Wayne County that's going to actually help everybody if I get away with this. Not that I get away with it, but if I get them to say okay to it. But the standard one is $10,000. So, and that comes with a rate. It's a published rate. It is what it is right now until they change it, but it's a 6.625 interest rate, and it is $10,000. You can get that, whether you're a first-time home buyer or not a first-time home buyer, depending on if it's a targeted city. Now, these do come with income calculations and max income limits, and it is the total household income. So if I'm buying a house and my significant other is living with me, they don't have to credit qualify, but their income sure is going to come into play. And they even go as far back as looking to see if you worked in the last year or so and what's the anticipation of you possibly going back to work. So they do a very big deep dive. This is a 2 underwrite program. So when we were talking about it right before the break, it's important for you to have the conversations in advance, because this is not a program where you can wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. You got to make sure we have plenty of time to get you set up so that way we can make sure we are hitting these closing dates within 30 to 20 days, which is the target. Then you have the first generational, you're the first person in your lineage in the last 3 years to purchase a home. So a first-time buyer is reborn again every 3 years. Okay, so that's what that means. So if you haven't owned a home or had ownership interest, which means you haven't even been on title,
right? That's key.
In the last 3 years, that means that you were born again and you're now a first-time buyer. So if your family or your next of kin have not owned a home in the last 3 years and you have not owned a home in the last 3 years, then you can qualify for this $25,000.
Now, a mobile home doesn't count towards that, right?
A mobile home does, a manufactured home. So if a manufactured home sitting on its own foundation, a affidavit of fixture, it is, you can't just roll up the horse and drag it away. It's got to be permanently affixed to the property and its own land. That does qualify. You can utilize it on a manufactured home.
Right. Some criteria on that too.
Okay.
For sure.
But if you have one and it's in a park, it doesn't count, and
Correct.
you still qualify for down payment assistance, right?
Yeah. So if you, I get what you're saying.
That's a big deal.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's
So
huge.
if you own a home in a mobile park right now, you have ownership in it, you still technically are a first-time buyer because they do not consider that to be like an actual residence.
Because you don't own the land.
You
That's
don't
the
own the
key.
land.
You don't own the land.
Correct.
If you've owned the land and you have a manufactured home,
different.
that's completely different then. I like that you brought that up today. That's awesome.
Yeah, because we talk about that often, and there's a lot of people in those situations because you're able to sell it back, and there's not a lot of equity in there, but you can get something. Something's better than nothing. So you would technically still be a first-time buyer. Here's another thing: if you own an investment property, and your intent has always been it's an investment property, you've never occupied the property, you still would qualify for the MISDA program. So that's a thing that most people do not know. So everyone in the lending industry, I just did y'all a favor. So that is something that we're able to help people get into these homes because, like Harry was saying, they want individuals to occupy the home, because the truth of the matter is why the first time buyer and repeat buyer are balking over these interest rates. And I don't know if I'm ready, and this, that, and the other thing. The outside investor is coming into Michigan specifically because we are very affordable, and they do not want everyone to be stuck in renting for the rest of their lives. So their incentives are very, very high and strong. There's more down payment assistance programs than the history of ever. And the reason is because they want you to own and occupy your own home. They do not want you to be subject to constantly renting for the rest of your lives, because it can get very sticky.
The reality of home ownership is that in the state of Michigan, Michigan wants people to stay in the state of Michigan. So they put out these programs to have people come in, and they will subsidize a certain portion of it to achieve home ownership. And that's the way you continuously build wealth, even more importantly, stability in people's lives. And then over time, you achieve wealth building. Because, again, like Becky likes to say, in the history of ever, there's never been anybody that has kept a house for 30, 35, 40 years and has passed it on, or they've sold it, that didn't make money.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Do you ever see those people that aren't really sure what credit score it's going to take to get in a home, and they just automatically assume that they're not going to qualify?
All day, every day.
The truth of the ones that think they qualify don't sometimes, and the ones that think they're not going to qualify do.
Have no problem, right?
But you have to have those conversations, and don't
there's
know.
So many people that are just afraid to try. They just assume they don't.
Well, no one wants to fail, and no one wants to be judged, and that's really what the truth of the matter is that, credit is this mystical creature that people don't understand. And maybe they made some mistakes when they're 18 because no one really advocated for them and told them about credit. And they feel like because they made a mistake when they're 18, this is something that's going to stalk them for the rest of their lives. And, at Capital Mortgage Funding, I know there's other lenders out there that take pride in credit in rebuilding that. I just can speak from our perspective. And Lisa and myself and everyone, we really love fixing people's credit because we were taught at a very young age, thank God for my mom. She taught me, I came right out of the gate with high 8s credits because very high credit scores, because she taught us at a very young age the importance of credit. And I know that everyone did not have that kind of experience. And so my, pay it forward is when I see someone that's struggling or they didn't understand, I'm here to educate them, not because I think I'm better than them. And I know they don't feel that way, but I want to teach someone how you're going to get A to Z and how we can fix it. And sometimes it's just this little thing. Maybe it's paying $100 on this credit card, or maybe it's this collection that you had that you didn't know you have, and we're going to fix it. And it's literally, sometimes you pay this off 5 days later, you got 100 points better.
One of the things about credit is it takes credit to build your credit score up. So I think that's one of the things too. So if if your folks are done a great job, look, they did a better job of raising you than I probably did my kids. But we talk about credit because it's a scary thing for some folks. You need to get that credit card. Again, as you're growing up in your 20s, if you want to rent a hotel or a car, you need a credit card typically. Yeah. So again, we talk about being responsible and having that education, Harry, behind the credit is understanding that you can pay it off each month and not pay the interest.
Yeah, it used to be back in the day, and there are going to be a lot of people driving their car that remember this. Back in the day, Hudson's used to have a program where the first credit card you got was a Hudson's credit card, and you were able to get it back in high school. And they would give you a $100, $200 limit, and they really started you out. So you had this little green Hudson credit card. And then, as you got older a little bit, and you had a friend named Sherri Gramlich that worked at Michigan Bank Card Visa, you called Harry up because he was a credit analyst there, and he gave away credit cards like it was, you got a $300.
This Michigan National Bank, can we say it?
Okay, you used to get a MasterCard or a Visa, and the max limit you could on a beginner was $300. So you have a Hudson's credit card, you have a MasterCard or a Visa, and then you start getting your car loans, and you built your credit up. The point is that you had one trade line, then you had 2 and 3, and then you got a car loan, so you had 4 trade lines going into your, in your college years when you graduated college or into your early 20s, whatever it was, you already had 4 credit trade lines. And this is before credit scores. Mm-hmm. So, but you already had a credit report, and it showed that you made your Hudson's $50 a month payment, and you paid it off, and then your MasterCard and Visa, and then your car payment. And then you were on your way to building your credit profile. Nobody teaches that anymore. There isn't. I mean, I don't see it out there.
They're starting to.
They should do it in high school. They should start it in high school. They should really start it in high school. And now I know that there are college programs.
Adulting 101,
Yeah,
right?
they should definitely start that because credit is so important because you can't go anywhere and pay cash. All right,
No.
nobody's taking cash. Go to a Lion game. Go get
Exactly.
Go,
Like,
get your
I'm-
hot dog and your Coke and your
Yeah,
5 beers.
right, even the
You can't-
vendors.
right. You can't. They don't take
I
cash.
don't think anyone has bought a house with like suitcases of money like you see in the movie where they open up the suitcase and like
Does
make
not
it sound
happen.
really cool. But the truth of is credit is if you don't have it, it's hard to get. If you don't use it, you lose it. And if you mess it up, it's hard to get it back. So you have to have conversations around how you're going to get where you got to go. And we're the best people for it. I will put us against anybody on that particular topic.
All right, tons to share with you here. Coming up in our last segment, come and join the show, 248-539-9797. We'll be right back. All righty, welcome back to the show. 846 if you're just joining us. It's the Hardcore Mortgage Real Estate Business Show brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. Call us at 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. We'll get back with you right away. Get that strong approval letter, build your confidence, deal with real professionals. Again, 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. Live here in the studio with Sherri Gramlich this morning.
Speaking of real professionals, Sherri Gramlich is in the house.
Hey, Sherri, thanks a lot. Hey, Sherri, after us, believe it or not, Mark and Pat, of course, Pat Caputo, Mark Ryan will be filling in all the the way up till about 1 o'clock. We got the Tiger game this afternoon against the Blue Jays. Spring is in the air, Harry.
Spring.
And our
Let's
friend
go.
Spencer Torkelson with 2 bombs last night. So definitely hear how pumped up about
3
the
for
Tigers.
3, 2 bombs.
We'll take that.
Yeah.
Trying to make the club.
I just got in my emails the tickets
Oh, you did?
for this year. Yep, I'm excited. So
All righty.
got a 28 game package. So,
Yay,
so it's
yeah.
going to be good. Opening day.
Sure,
Yeah,
give me
there's
your
just
cell
something
phone.
again-
I need your cell phone after
Yeah.
here. I need one of those. Okay.
There's something about when you know baseball season starting, it just electrifies. You know, we just came off like a great season with the Lions. Obviously, it was a disappointing setback, whatever. But like then you can back it up when the Tigers baseball comes around. It's just there's something that just electrifies you here in Michigan. It just really does.
Yeah,
Over-
I drove down 75 last night and I seen the lights on
Oh, yeah,
Comerica
they-
Park,
oh,
and
yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's almost here.
Yeah.
There you go. Everybody loves it. First of all, when you go into spring and you have opening day, which is another holiday in Detroit,
It is a
unto
holiday.
Oh, yeah.
itself. Okay, people don't realize that we have some of the greatest sports fans in the country here. All right, we always have, but opening day, Tiger opening day, signifies spring's here, summer's around the corner. We're going to have a great season in terms of when you walk into a ballpark and you see the grass and you see everybody there and the pomp and circumstance on opening day. It's phenomenal. It's if you cannot appreciate that, then I mean there was a time that I don't believe I missed an opening day for 25 straight years. So it was just a thing you had to
Yeah,
do.
and even
it.
if you can't get in the game, that's what I'm saying. Like, what is going on around the outskirts of the
It
stadium?
is fun.
It is a good time.
It was something you have to do.
Yes.
You just have to do it. I know everybody wants to talk about Wrigley and Fenway, and I've been to those too.
Yeah.
But when it's your hometown and it was Tiger Stadium, now Comerica Park, it's just a lot of fun. And you go down there and you realize that, hey, it's special. It's what we do in Detroit, and there's nothing like it.
All right, a little bit back to here to mortgages and real estate, which
Oh,
we're
man,
always
I'd rather
excited
talk about sports.
I know,
Huh?
sports and what's going on in spring training is a
More
lot of
about
fun here.
sports and mortgages.
You guys can keep it on 97
I know
all
it's
day
my
long.
husband's first opening day this year
No
ever.
way.
Oh, okay.
Really?
So-
Well, good for you. He's
Hey.
experiencing that. It'll be fun.
All right, let's talk about condos real quick. I wrote a whole page on it, but it wasn't all positive stuff because of the situation down in Florida. So they've had horrible hurricanes. They built these high-rise condominiums 30, 40, and maybe even 50, 60 years ago. So, folks, the associations are getting out of control. But I don't want to go about that negativity stuff about the condos because there's so many great opportunities out there. But condominiums have association fees. And as buyers, if you're retiring, this is part of your buying power. And I keep seeing it getting those phone calls too. Harvey, hey, we're thinking about selling the house this year. It's time. We're going to move into a condo. Yeah, this winter kicked the butts of a lot of us out there. Between the snow an inch or two every day.
Not having that maintenance is a good thing.
It
you know?
is, but it comes with a cost, Sherry. And again, you're talking $400 for most association fees. It's a lot of money versus home ownership. You know, I don't want to throw natural ways out there, but again, I get the fertilizer thing in the mail just last week. It's a couple $100. Now my grass looks good. It's done. I cut my own grass, but you don't have to get crushed. But home ownership is maybe ahead of. I don't want people to look the other way and think condo living is the only way to go because it doesn't cost that much to have a lawn company or snow removal. You
The truth-
make that decision.
It's
Yes,
a- it's a
to kind of put it
lifestyle
into
thing.
like
It's a lifestyle.
To put it in perspective, when he's talking about it cuts into your buying power, and this is where you need to have a seasoned agent and a good relationship with the lender because I had someone that went under contract, and then it came out that the association dues was jacking up to $700, and it pushed our buyer out where they no longer were qualifying, and a point that they were no longer comfortable with that payment. So the association dues has a huge direct correlation, draw a straight line to how much house you can buy. So if you're buying a single family home, you could be a $225,000 buyer. If you're buying a condo, that could take you all the way down to 170 in that situation. In this point, the house was more than that, and it just was uncomfortable for the buyer. So as soon as that information came out, we had to pass on that property because it had a direct effect on how they're going to feel comfortable, and that was even before the taxes reassessed.
Another reason why you go with somebody experienced because a first-time home buyers, well, I got approved for $250. Well, that a condo's going to change that. That's going to bring your buying power down.
Yep.
You
And
know,
so that's why
you have to be cognizant.
Yep. And what Sherry's saying is when you're out there looking for buyers as a lender, we pre-approve you. If no one talked about a condo and they're like, no, I'm not looking at a condo. Next thing we know, they are now pressing you for condos. Your real estate agent has to have a conversation with your lender so we can say, wait a minute, let's back the bus up. This changes everything. we're going to average it around $500 for the association dues because we don't really know, right? We're kind of making up a house until we know it. But we have to make sure that we are in a direct in constant unison with each other so that we know what we're doing for our buyer.
There's so much about the assessments on these condominiums. And again, I think if you're a part of an association, if you are on the board, you're president, treasurer, you're part of the board, make the information available and it'll help your folks that are selling these units. And that's what they're coming against in Florida is they want to sell them. They want out they're not ready to pay that next association fee or that assessment of $1,200 each month. And there's been some crazy talk. So very important, if you are running an association, these listing agents need to get that information. They want to be able to share it because of the non-warrantable condominium factor that comes into play.
And budgets are going up. You have to have an X amount of dollars in your budget for all the things, the roof, the roads, everything. There's going to be assessments in that, but the budget has to be set for that condo association too. Because if we get master deed bylaws and budgets and it's underfunded, then we're not going to be able to do the loan. And it's just the bottom line on the transaction. But you have to talk to people that are experienced and know how to read condo documents, master deeds and bylaws. There's restrictions. There's all the things that you can and cannot do when you move into a place like that.
And you got to look at the condition of roofs and the concrete and stuff like that, right? Because if it's going to need roofs, you're going to look at changes in your HOA costs.
A friend of mine just had that happen. The whole condominium complex got assessed. He didn't need a new roof, but guess what? He was getting one whether he needed it or not because everybody else needed one. Well, he had to come up with $58,000 right on the spot.
Whoa.
And it was in the master. It was in there. It was in his paperwork. Right. Not okay, but that's what they do.
That wasn't here. That was here in Michigan, or
yeah, it was in Michigan.
Oh,
I don't want to tell you where it's at.
Deal.
It's right out near where you live.
Yeah, roofs are a big deal right now in Michigan with insurance costs as well. It is a huge thing. So if there's a roof even in the horizon, if your insurance goes out there and they even sniff that you might need a new roof, that could affect whether the house is going to be approved for the insurance on the new house. And you have to, and like when you're talking about when you're inspecting the house, if it needs a new roof, you have to address that with that seller immediately because right now insurance companies are pulling out they're not approving new homeowners and if they need a new roof.
I had a client that bought a house 3-4 years ago call me yesterday and said, is there any way I can find out when the old owners had the roof done because my insurance company's asking?
Yeah.
Might be able to.
Yes.
Get the permit down at City Hall.
Yeah.
Go to the City Hall and they should have the permit on it.
That's what I told them. I suggested go to the City Hall. If you can't get the answer, then I'll reach out to the listing agent from back then and see if they can reach out to their client.
Right. Typically
it's
a permit is pulled
tougher
for a new roof or,
But they got to get a permit.
We're going to have to do a separate show on where we're going to bring in some insurance people because a dirty little secret is they're actually flying over these houses with their drones. This is the truth.
Hey, before we wrap up, tell everybody where Lisa is this weekend doing the bridal show. Talk about that a little bit, Becky.
Okay, yes. So Lisa's at the Ford Field doing the bridal show. We do it every year. So go stop in, see her. If you're a first-time buyer, we have specific programs that actually help. If you're buying a house, we have the home funded program.
Yeah, I love it.
So instead of getting bridal gifts, we can actually set you up where your guests donate towards you buying a first time home. So instead of them being like, hey, what's up with that toaster? You can actually, have them contribute towards the purchase of your home as a down payment. So go see her. Ford Field. So if you're in earshot of this and you actually still can get tickets, I believe. We've been a part of that bridal show for, I think, over a decade at this point.
We have tickets to give away, too. We have tickets. Lisa's got some extra tickets there, so,
Oh, yeah. Like at the show, she's got extra tickets?
At the show. I don't know how you get in and get the ticket, but yeah.
Hit me up on socials. I'll make sure you get the tickets. The people that run it, they're longtime clients of mine as well. We have a great relationship with them, and it's been a fantastic run at that Ford Field Bridal Show.
All right. That music says we're up against the end of the show. Sherri Gramlich, you're awesome. Always
Thank
welcome.
you, Sherri.
Excited to have you here, Sherri. We'll be
Always
talking.
A pleasure to be here.
A lot of stuff coming up. We'll talk about some veterans next time a little bit more, right?
All right.
All right. 248-539-9797. You want to keep it here on 97.1 The Ticket. They'll take your calls. Pat Caputo, Mark Ryan coming up with sports.